Manta Singh and his wounded comrades were shipped from the front to hospital in England. And where could be more appropriate for an Indian soldier of the British Empire to recover than in Brighton's Royal Pavilion, modelled on an Indian palace? At King George V's suggestion, the city of Brighton had offered the Royal Pavilion for use as a hospital for the wounded of the Indian Army. The wounded soldiers wrote home with their impressions. "We are in England. It's a very fine country. The inhabitants are very amiable and very kind to us, so much so that our own people couldn't be as much so. The food and the clothes and the buildings are very fine. Everything is such as one would not even see it in a dream. One should regard it as fairyland." This again from a wounded Sikh. He says, "Do not be anxious about me. We're very well looked after. Our hospital is in the place where the king used to have a throne. Men in hospital are tended like flowers, and the king and queen sometimes come to visit them." Censor was happy with that bit. As this extraordinary archive shows, wounded Sikh, Muslim and Hindu soldiers convalesced in the pavilion. But some of the patients were gravely injured. Manta Singh's wounds had not healed. Manta Singh's family believe he was at the Royal Pavilion Hospital, but it's clear at some stage he was in the Kitchener Indian Hospital just down the road. We have a certificate here, signed by the Chief Resident Officer, Kitchener Hospital, Brighton, and he lists Manta Singh's wounds as 1, gunshot wound left leg, 2, gangrene of leg and toxemia. Manta Singh had one or possibly both his legs amputated. And then he died. Manta Singh's body was taken up here to the South Downs. He was one of 53 Sikh and Hindu soldiers who, having given their lives for king and empire, were cremated in the open air, here, according to their beliefs. It's called the Chatry, and it stands on the very spot where the cremations took place. This was a remarkable act of what we would call cultural sensitivity on behalf of the British Army. Open-air cremations were illegal and remain so. But on this occasion, they were allowed. This annual memorial service is organised by Brighton locals and Indian ex-servicemen. Captain Henderson, whose life Manta Singh saved, survived the war. Today, both their grandsons are attending. Can I see a picture of your grandfather?
Here he is on the day he was commissioned, and he won the Sword of Honour at Sandhurst in about 1911.
He was a professional soldier?
He was a professional soldier, yes. Probably would have been attached to a British unit, and then he would have gone out to join what would have been the 2nd 11th Sikhs in that time, where Manta Singh was also serving.
The regimental and family association endured into the next generation.
That is my father, and that is your
my father. Again, standing beside each other.
That's an amazing connection, and that's in 1937.
Yeah. And the other photograph was in 1913.
So
your two families are so interconnected, and independence doesn't seem to have ruptured this link, does it?
No. Oh, no.
In no way.
No way.
And do you think your grandfathers would have been proud to witness the fact that your families are still linked with each other?
I think they would have expected it. This one here.
Yeah. Manta Singh's story, coming so early in the war, is a remarkably positive example of the Edwardian Empire working together. Years after the end of empire, we may find that surprising, but such loyalty and mutual respect was not unusual then. Like the Indians, most of the empire's subjects in the Caribbean and in Britain's African colonies were on the wrong side of the colour bar. Their experience, however, showed a less benevolent side to the empire. In 1914, black men from the British West Indies hoped to contribute to the war effort on an equal footing as fighting soldiers. Even Jamaica's most celebrated black leader enthusiastically endorsed the empire's cause. Marcus Garvey wrote to the governor of Jamaica in September 1914 on behalf of his newly formed Universal Negro Improvement and Conservation Association and African Communities League. Being mindful of the great protecting and civilising influence of the English nation and people of whom we are subjects, and their justice to all men, and especially to their Negro subjects scattered all over the world, we hereby beg to express our loyalty and devotion to His Majesty the King and Empire. Thrice we hail God save the King, long live the King and Empire. By supporting the war, they were not expressing their undying devotion to the plantation owners or to the white people who were seen as exploiting them. They were displaying a genuine loyalty to the Crown and to the greater British values that they believed it embodied. In fact, the British authorities did not entirely welcome these loyal sentiments. The War Office had conceded that it needed the highly trained, non-white Indian Army at the front. In the case of the eager, unproved black volunteers of the British West Indies, it arrived at a different decision. In May 1915, the War Office agreed that British West Indies troops could be sent to the Western Front. But they could only serve as Labour Corps. In Jamaica, the young Stanley Stair decided to volunteer. A poor plantation labourer of 15, he was eager for the pay, the adventure, and the opportunity to see the world. We've tracked down two of Stanley's grandchildren, cousins, both living in London. I mean, he sounds an incredible figure. How old was he when he died?
He died last year, April 2008, at the age of 107.
Good grief.
He was the last of the British West Indian Regiment soldier.
Why did he join up? When did he join up?
He told me that he went down, signed up, but was sent home because he was too young.
There was another recruitment office in the same town, and he went to the other one, and where he gave his the older age.
Uh-huh.
He's a man who thought he had a duty to defend what was attack on Britain. Being only 15, that didn't deter him at all. He wanted to go and fight for Britain.
But I read that they weren't really wanted.
Well, I mean, the question is, they were wanted to work, but were they wanted to fight?
Yeah.
What they're not doing is running over the top with a rifle. So there is the question is asked, was that unfair?
Yeah.
Might have dawned on a few of these officers' mind. We had badly treated them for so many years. How are they going to react if you put a gun in their hands? What happened if they turn? Maybe they had this going through their mind. We don't know.
I mean, I think people knew at the start of the war, if you let these people join up, take on the uniform, get on the boat, come over to Europe,
A lot of things have to change.
It's going to change.
Here's a
And your
question.
grandfather is part of that
Yeah.
change. He went on board a ship called the Vidala. Now, did he talk about that at all?
No, not that I can remember.
no.
It was only from reading about it when he was interviewed on his 100th birthday.
Right. A war veteran's story.
Yeah, that he talked about the journey by ship and how it took several weeks to reach France, and that they stopped in Cuba and Halifax.
That's all he says about
That's
it.
all he says about that part.
Right.